Last summer, I traveled from North Carolina to the Gulf during the height of the BP deepwater spill. One of the reasons I went was that I wanted to see the oil and the story for myself. I'd grown tired of sitting on the lap of the national media while they told me their story, a story that sounded curiously like an adventure fit for boys' life. Will they cap the well? Will they fire the evil BP guy? Stay tuned. What I found was not an adventure story, but beaches where dozens of cleanup workers wavered through the mist, a ghostly prison crew in fluorescent vests sweeping the sands. What I found was a man from Texas fighting with a local man from Pensacola over a prize tarball, the biggest both had ever seen, that each wanted to bring home. And what I found was beauty mixed with scars of industry, as I watched a roseate spoonbill, a bird like a patch of bruised pink in a green cypress, not a quarter mile away from Halliburton Road, and traveled by boat and helicopter to the front lines of the Gulf marshes, an immensely green and vital landscape, turned into something dark and necrotic by the fringe of oil. I traveled out to the marsh and out to the rig by helicopter, and spent a night in a fish shack that seemed to float upon the wetlands, and that would have seemed a place apart were it not for the encroaching oil. Everywhere the waters were filled with a motley collection of ships that included pleasure boats, shrimp trawlers, and charter fishing boats, all collectively known as vessels of opportunity, the fine Orwellian term dreamed up by BP, which had hired them out to search for oil and lay boom. I noted that the captains of the vessels of opportunity, seamen who had likely not worn life preservers since they were toddlers, were all buckled up in their vests as they puttered out to sea. Of course, the life jackets were just a physical manifestation of an ugly fact. When you signed on with BP, you also signed away the right to criticize that company. I felt at times like I'd entered an occupied country, ruled by a corporation, and at other times like I'd walked into the future. Not a Mad Max future, perhaps, but close. A place where you could see what we were sacrificing to slurp down the last drops of oil. As I stared at the fringe of oil on the marsh, and down at the clumps of oily turds that scarred the beaches, I began to suspect that this time we had really done it. We have passed a point, and the fact that many of our current actions are suicidal has become obvious to even the most casual observer of the natural world. We have soiled ourselves, and I felt I was finally starting to learn something that the birds that I watched each day knew deep in their hollow bones, that everything in the world is connected, that when we soil one thing, we soil it all. We have sacrificed our beautiful places so that we get to live exactly as we have been living, which of course is a great good. We must do what we have done, and we must keep on doing it because why exactly? Isn't it time to ask that question? My goal when I got back from the Gulf was not to write an objective book about the spill, if there is such a thing, but a book that put readers down in the Gulf with me, in the strange, oily, heart of darkness world that I experienced. Most of all, I wanted to write an honest book, to write a book that told the truth as I had seen it. Because honesty may be even more important than cars that get good mileage. With massive dispersant use, BP effectively swept the oil under the Gulf's rug, and most of us bought the narrative that the oil is gone. We're ready for more drilling and new pipelines. But the oil is not gone, and what happened in the Gulf is about much more than one disaster. It's about a larger accounting. It is time to face up to what we are getting and what we are giving. Time to honestly acknowledge where we are and where we're going. And to know that if we choose to keep doing what we've always done, we will pay a steep price, maybe the steepest price of all. In exchange for those last drops of oil, we will pay with our green world.